Hi guys, welcome back to another episode here on the Pepetoe Podcast. I hope you're all well and I hope you've had a good weekend. It's currently Sunday, it's almost 8 p.m. and I'm in bed. I'm getting up quite early in the morning for work, but I thought I'd come on to do a podcast as I've not really done it much recently, especially this week. It has been so chaotic at work, and because I work for a gym brand, obviously January is such a busy time and kind of the end of December, so we're gearing up for that and it's very, very hectic, but I am still enjoying it, just so you know. I am absolutely loving every moment of it. It's definitely a faster paced workplace, what I've been in before. I was going to say it's what I'm used to, but I much more enjoy like the faster paced kind of workplaces, where my last two jobs, as I've definitely mentioned before, it was kind of like, at my first job last year, I'd have like a week where I was working like really busy, but then most of the time I wasn't really doing a lot, even working part-time, and then full-time I didn't really have enough work, I guess, and I went full-time because I said, there's definitely going to be enough work for me. I made work for myself, don't get me wrong, like I made a weekly timetable of like research to do, like trends, social media trends, that kind of thing, but at my last job, as I've kind of told before, it was not a good workplace. It was so slow, I did nothing. Even when I said I wanted to do more and I did do more, they didn't like that kind of side of things, whereas now it is, okay, here's a full workload for you to do. It will probably mean you're working a bit later as well, or starting a bit earlier. Like, here's loads to do. If you need help, ask. And it is that, okay, yeah, I'm struggling to do this today, or, oh, I haven't quite got this done today, but I'll finish it tomorrow, and then someone else will pick up the slack for you. Not in a bad way, not like you can't get it all done, but it is like very much everyone helps each other, which is such a nice environment. So I'm definitely loving that part of it. I don't know if I mentioned it on my socials, but I had the work party a couple of weeks ago. It was kind of the whole UK, so we have two offices. I work in Leeds, the other one's in London, and everyone came together for an event in Birmingham. And it was also held in Denmark and Switzerland. Like, it was all over the world. It was amazing with like the main branches we have. Just like an awards night for the end of the year, and it was an amazing party. I got very drunk because it was a free bar. I wasn't okay, but I managed to get home all fine. But it was a very good night, and again, I was the newbie, being there for a month. But I really didn't want to go, because even though it was just down the road for me, everyone else had to travel so far, but it wasn't that far off for me. So I was like, I kind of have to go, and because I live that close, I can just get a train home, or someone can pick me up. Like, it wasn't big of a deal. But then as soon as I got there, I had a few drinks before I left, and I was on the train on the way there, and I was like, I already feel drunk, and it was just not a good idea. When you're like, oh, I'll have a drink before I go, just to like cure a bit of social anxiety. No, I had more than one. And then I bought more when I got to the train station, like just some cans, because I was like, I need more, and I was quite early, but no, I shouldn't have done that. Or at least I could have found a bar, but I was like, no, I'll just get a can. No, it wasn't a good idea, but I was alive. They said we could have Thursday mainly off anyway, which was great. But that meant this week was a really busy week, because this was the week before. So this past week has been super busy, and I was ill. Like, I didn't manage to go to the office because I was just battling this cold. I don't know what it was. It wasn't the flu, but I haven't had a cold in a couple of years, and it just knocked me about so much. And I thought, a 4-hour drive there and back is not going to be clever, but I'm doing it tomorrow. And again, it's once a week. It's not the end of the world, but I've not done it in 2 weeks, so I'm kind of dreading it. But I thought I'd have a little journaling session with you guys before I go to bed for a decent night's sleep, I guess. It's 8 p.m. now. I should really go to sleep now if I'm getting up at 4, but I can't really go to sleep that early, even if I'm tired, hungover, whatever. I posted a blog earlier as well talking about this kind of topic, with taking time to slow down and make sure you're not heading towards burnout. It doesn't matter if you work in the gym industry or not, but this is how I got this idea. This time of year, just before Christmas, just before that limbo week, as I've said before, like last year, that week between Christmas and New Year's, where, I'm working now, so it's not like I do nothing, whereas all my life it has been, you just don't do anything. Because my dad had that week off usually as well. My mum was at home as well, so just like we were all at home when we were younger, doing nothing, probably hungover. My mum would always get ill, so we'd get ill because, it's like Christmas is done, she can finally relax before the end of the year. I love that kind of limbo week, it is fun. But even with my job, everyone's saying, okay, the week of Christmas and the week after that, we don't want to be killing ourselves getting everything ready for January peak time for Q1. And I thought that's such a good idea to do it. It's kind of like they don't say we're off work, but we want a more chill time where we're just kind of online doing the odd bits that we need to. So then that means these next 2 weeks are really busy, and I've booked off this Friday and the Friday after as well. So that means I have only like 8 days opposed to 10 days to get everything done. But it should be fine. I'm looking forward to it. But I've kind of got, not holidays coming up, but me and my sister has booked off this Friday coming. So we were like, okay, we want a long weekend away together. Or it kind of started out being planned like that. And we're trying to find places to go to. We were going to go visit my brother and his girlfriend in London, but then turns out they've got work Christmas parties that weekend, so that was not an idea that we could do. And then we just said, why don't we just stay at home, because my parents are away, and we're both at home. Parents are away for the weekend, so we thought, let's just do something here, and we're going to have just a very chill weekend, because that's what I've been doing, and that's what I've been speaking about recently as well with you guys. Like, I obviously have my main job, but then I also do my blog and my podcast on the side. I'm starting to do client work again with their social media. So there's a lot that can happen that can lead me to burnout. And this week I've definitely felt it. I mean, I was run down and ill anyway. But on Tuesday, so I was ill all of last weekend. Monday, I wasn't in the office. I was at home. But Monday is kind of like the meeting day. Like, have loads of meetings throughout the day, kind of get caught up of, you know, what to do in that week or what we did like the last week, like many different like team meetings. So it's not a lot of work you do anyway. Or for me it is anyway. It's kind of like a catch up admin day for me, unless there is obviously something I really need to get done. And because I was at home feeling quite ill, I just kind of took the time just to log on to those meetings and do the odd bit of notes and research, and I definitely felt a lot better for that. But then Tuesday, because I had a very slow day on Monday, Tuesday I just worked so hard. I was working till 8 p.m, but I got that time back on the Wednesday, which was quite nice. My boss was like, oh, thanks for doing that, log off early today. So I did, which was really nice of her to do. But this week there will be late nights, which I'm not looking forward to, but I am seeing my boyfriend on Tuesday for a couple of days before I have a nice weekend with my sister. And then the weekend after that I'm going away with my boyfriend to York, which is annoying because it's obviously not far from where I work, but going away with him and a few of his other friends and their girlfriends for a couple of days, which will be nice, just before the Christmas period starts. I've never met these friends, so it's going to be a bit weird, but yeah, I'm looking forward to it. But I think my socialising is gone since that work party a couple of weeks ago. Like, my brain is just like seized, and I think that's definitely helped, or like not helped, but it's helped the burnout kind of progress. But that's why I'm here today to kind of say, look after yourselves. You know, it's so easy to go down that hole, especially when you're trying to get everything done before Christmas. And if you're someone that likes to get everything done in advance, if you're like very proactive in that way and you're like, okay, January I want to take it slower, you know, it's hard to get motivated in that time anyway. Take it slow, and you can rest now. You don't have to wait for that week to rest. Obviously you need to get the work done, so get the work done, but as soon as it turns 5 p.m, or I know we'll be working a lot later this week, but as soon as it turns to a point where you can stop, whether that's 5 p.m, 6 p.m, even 7 p.m, stop. Like, as soon as you put that laptop lid down, stop, go downstairs, make some food, go for a walk, go to the gym. I mean, you won't want to do that after days of work. I don't. Or just get in bed, watch some Netflix, do something that's just going to turn your brain off. Maybe not Netflix straight away. Like, you want to just like take your mind off. Obviously, don't look at the screens all day, because I've noticed that as well has not helped me recovering from when I was ill. Being on screens all day long is not helpful at all. And I kind of like that I wasn't doing that between my breaks between jobs, but obviously 90% of jobs are all on screens right now, so you can't get away from it. But you can take your mind off it. But my downtime is Netflix, or scrolling on my phone, or doing my content and doing my clients' content and all of this. So it can be draining. And I know it sounds like I'm complaining. I'm trying not to. I'm just trying to show you the reality of what we're all doing, you know. And it can be difficult sometimes, and this feeling of burnout can really get to us. I don't know if I've been feeling burnout. It's more, I'm just really, I was going to say exhausted. No, I'm just really tired. I'm like, let it be the weekend. But my work-life balance is so good, because it does get to like the time where I log off from my laptop and I'm done. And it helps a lot with, on a Monday, being in the office, you know. I get in my car, so I can't look at my phone, I can't look at my laptop, I'm done. And I'm in my car, I'm singing, usually crying because I'm so tired on the way home, trying to battle my fuel gauge so that I can get home without stopping for fuel, which I have done every time, and I've just been to get fuel today prior for tomorrow, so hopefully I can do it for a fourth time. But yeah, it can be a lot, and I'm very much enjoying it, but you know, we do not want to face that burnout. So I'm going to give you some tips of what to do to kind of battle that during these next 2 weeks when it can get really busy at work. The main thing, as I said, is to just log off. And I don't mean like literally, I mean in your head, log off. it can be so annoying to just have like, or if you hear your emails come in like throughout the night, or if you work in like with some people from different countries where time zones are different, something like that, or when people do just work really late during this time, like people higher up, and you're like, should I be working at like 9 p.m? when no, you shouldn't be. I know a lot of people who are higher up tend to obviously do like their main like job duties between like the 9 to 5 hours or whatever, but then they'll have a break and then do like email admin or put in meetings like later on at night, which I would do that as well if I was higher up. That's something you can do kind of whatever time of the day, but it's annoying for other people to get emails come through. I've always had emails and like Teams or Zoom or like whatever group thing I'm using on my phone as well, which is not a good idea, because I just hear, obviously on my phone just buzzes all the time with emails and everything, even when I'm on my breaks or I'm out at the gym or before I start work. And I would recommend turning, I don't know on Apple, I should know this, if you can like schedule notifications. I know you can in general, you can just put it on do not disturb during a certain time, I know that, but maybe I should do that and just have them come through in the day. Maybe that's the way to do it. At like 5 p.m, put my phone on do not disturb. But then obviously that's the time where I'm phoning people, calling people, checking in on clients, that kind of thing, so I can't really do that. So I don't really know how I'm going to do that, but it's just annoying when I've logged off, because I'm like, oh my god, I've had such a long day, I'm finishing at 5, I'm not doing any like extra work today, I'm just going to finish, and I just get emails through or messages like, can you do this, can you do that, and I'm like, no, I'm not working. So it's all about, again, tip 2 is to have boundaries. And I don't mean, well, I kind of do mean, but primarily it's not about putting boundaries in place for like your colleagues or other people in your life. It's about putting them in place for you. If you're someone like me who is a perfectionist and you want to impress people all the time, you got this people pleasing trait, when you're trying to do that all the time, it's so draining. So you can put those boundaries in place for you and be like, okay, I can work a bit more today, but tomorrow I'm going to be tired, or my period starting, whatever it is, and think, okay, take it slower. As long as I get my work done, I don't need to rush to get it done. Start a bit earlier, like if you're awake. That's another thing as well, like if you're facing this burnout and you're someone who's like, no, I only work 9 to 5, but you've got so much to do, start a bit earlier. I know you're like, I'm not getting paid for that. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. If you have to get the work done, you do. So start a bit earlier. If you're up and you're just kind of having a coffee downstairs, like obviously, again, and I'll get onto this, self-care is a priority, and having time for yourself is a priority as well over all of this. But if you're that stressed, and I know this is kind of counterintuitive for that, but especially during this period, I'm not saying push yourself, but start a bit earlier if you need to, rather than finishing late, because I'm usually up at like 7:30. Not that I jump on the computer at that time, but I might take my sister to work and I'll be back by 8:30, and I do just kind of log on then. I don't need to wait till 9 a.m. Sometimes I'm just waiting around when, I think I could have gone to the gym or I could have gone for a walk, and I'm just waiting around. But then that time is quite good for me as well to kind of sit or read the news or do something somewhat self-care type productive as well. But if it helps you, start a little bit earlier so that you're not working as late, or add those, start at like 10 to 9 if you start at 9, and get your emails done or get your to-do list done kind of thing. So then the next tip is tip 4, write a to-do list every single day, or I tend to do it actually as I'm finishing for the day. I write down like the things I need to do tomorrow. If I've not quite finished something, I kind of do it throughout the day as well. I like write notes down of like, okay, I need to do this, I need to check this, I need to do that, and all of that. I need to go in and do that, but also do that. For me, I like to do it as my day ends, so that is out of my head as well, because there's no point like finishing your day of work and you just kind of shut your laptop lid down without doing any prep for the next day, and you're like, you sit in bed and it hits like 11 p.m. when you're supposed to be asleep and you're thinking about it, or it wakes you up in the night as well. That is the worst thing. So make sure you write it down before you go to bed, not necessarily at the end of your work day, but I've got a whiteboard in my room. I've said this so many times before. I just write down even all the thoughts in my head. If I'm having a bit of a breakdown or like an anxiety, or I'm in just a sad little bubble, once I kind of get out of it, I grab my whiteboard and just write everything down. And I can decide to wipe it off, or I like to wipe it off in the morning as I get up. So I'm like, okay, those were last night's worries as well. That can help. But I also write post-it notes down as well with everything I need to do tomorrow, whether that is work related or just personal life related. I don't know, like make sure I drink my greens or something like that, like make sure I know what I'm doing as well. Or I like to write a little timetable as well. If I'm like, okay, 2 to 3 I've got no meetings, I can go to the gym. I'm going to my boyfriend's house tomorrow as well, so I need to put that in, or I need to go to the shop and get this. I like to time that out as well between meetings, or even if you're not at work, if you're a student as well, it does apply to you the exact same way. As a student, you want to obviously finish before Christmas. You don't want to be working over that kind of limbo week, unless I know people have deadlines. Like, I had a big deadline last year, and I tried to get it done before Christmas, but I thought, you know what, I've got loads of time. And to be fair, it was due in on like the 11th of Jan or something. No, it wasn't last year, it was the year before. Wow, that's gone by so fast. But you know what I mean, like, it was like a deadline on like the 11th of Jan, and I think I extended it anyway, but I wanted to get it done before and I didn't. But then I realised, okay, I do have time. Like, sometimes you think you don't have time to relax when a couple of days can be enough sometimes. If you have the time to give yourself more time off, take it, because these kind of times do not come around that often in life, so definitely take that time as well. But also with the to-do list, I love to do it, and again, I mentioned this before, but write down, and you might say, but I've got more work to do than that. I don't care. Write down your top 3 priorities for the day. You know, you can make your to-do list the night before for tomorrow, like a rough one of, oh, finish this, do that. Then sit down, whether you write it down, and I have an Outlook calendar, you know, my work calendar linked to Teams kind of thing, where I do time block as well. Again, I'll get onto that. But I also have my Notion. If you don't use Notion, you need to. If you want to get organised, it's so good. Like, especially not working on a MacBook, I like to use it, because on a MacBook I just use my Notes app, but on like a Windows laptop, like my work laptop, Notion is so good. Like, I can put a calendar in there so you can time block things yourself. If you're someone like me that does a few things but not just work as well, it's good to have that kind of personal calendar there as well. So if you're at work stressing like, oh my god, I've not done that thing, you can just pop it in. But ultimately, I always go back to my notebook and paper and pen, and I think I need to get a little whiteboard in my office as well. But I just write down on like my notepad each day, like I title it Monday, and just write down everything. A lot of the time it takes a lot more pages than that if I've got things to remember throughout the day or training or whatever. But write down however way you want to do it. If you want to use a Notion template, if you want to use Notes app, or if you want to write it down, I think it's the easiest, because then it's there in front of you rather than having to go on like a different app on your laptop or your phone. But write down your top 3 priorities. Even if you've got way more to do than that, weigh it up, especially if you're someone like me where, or this doesn't just apply to this time of year as well, but when you've got a lot going on and there's a deadline for it, and it's all due for, like, for me, like peak period, it's due before Christmas really, or at least before the 1st of Jan, but our first offers go live like just before that anyway, so it's needing to think that through. But yeah, write down your top 3 priorities, okay? And I tend to do 2 lists, because again, I'm talking about personal life as well. If you're a student, if you're not working at the moment, it's not just about work either. Write down your 2 lists if you do work. Your work top 3 priorities, so that might be for me, I don't know, looking back when I was still working in social media, content plan for next week, make graphics and write captions, you know, like those 3 all come under one thing, but I was just doing that one job back then. So write down those 3 things, and you can say, okay, just for next week as well. Don't say you've got to do the whole month's worth. You don't have to do that. Your top 3 things. Or in your personal life, it might be take the washing out and put it in the dryer, like, you know, you left the washing in last night in the washing machine kind of thing. Or make sure you take the dog for a walk and get an early night. Like those 3 priorities as well. Or again, if, you know, I've got clients, so I'm like, make sure I do this, this and this after work. If I am doing any work of my own work after my 9 to 5, I do it straight away. I might go like have a chat with my sister or something when she's back from work, but I tend to do it straight away so that it's out of my mind as well, instead of being like, oh my god, okay, no, I just want to relax till dinner, then I'm going to do it after dinner, and it just gets to be a really late night if I do that. So I kind of do it straight after I finish, just so that, you know, I'm still in my office and it doesn't come into this room, like I'm in my bedroom, it doesn't come into this space anymore, which I like as well. Moving on from priority lists, go into, I mean, there's so many other ways you can do it, but that's the way that works for me. It might not work for you, but time blocking as well is a huge thing. As I said, if you've got a calendar, or again, you can do it on Notion if you don't have like a uni or work email like on Outlook. Outlook calendars are so good. Like, I do prefer Notion, but Outlook is quite good, especially if you're in work and obviously it's linked to your meetings. Time block it around that. So if you know you don't have any meetings till 10 a.m, you've got an hour to do admin, which is what I used to do at my old job, but then most of my job was just admin, like emails all day, so I didn't really time block a lot in that. But, you know, just time block in, okay, I'm going to do this then, and, you know, throughout the day it will change. It does with me a lot of the time where I don't time block a lot in, then I've got a meeting breaks up, I've got to go back to it, that kind of thing. If you've got a lot of big projects going on as well, again, there's so many different ways to do it. Time block kind of like an hour for each thing. Just like rotate between them, because you can get so burnt out by looking at one thing. Just kind of go between them. So then again, it's better to have bits of it all done by the end of the week rather than one done, then you've got three projects to do next week. Or like, I'm doing campaigns on like Meta and like on ads right now, so it's like, okay, if I just get one platform done this week, then I've got to do all the other ones the week after, and I'm like, no, just get bits of them all done so that you can see progress. Again, on Notion you can get like progress trackers, and on Canva you can as well. Like, people do use Canva as well for templates, which is quite cool. But use whatever you feel is good for you. If you're quite a statistic kind of person, a progress tracker would be quite good. Even on like Google Docs or on Notion, again, you can put in like the status of your project, and you can put like 25% done, or you can just do like started, in progress, not started, finished, all that kind of thing. Find ways that work for you as well, because it is very different, but all these things are going to help it is kind of like in the short term, but also the long term, because in the long term it does help you like manage your time better and know like how to prioritize, because that is something that can be a grueling kind of thing to figure out. It was for me, and I get carried away sometimes if I'm like, oh, I might research this, then I'm researching it for a week and realize I've not done my main work. That can be bad. So if you're someone like me that does get sidetracked, because you don't want to leave anything finished and you don't want to do like a half-assed job at things, do that then. But yeah, prioritize things, time block things out. Even if that's not how your brain works, you're kind of all over the place, do it. Even if you don't follow it. Like, I used to do the same thing with revision timetables when I was much younger, when I did them at school, especially for like GCSEs, when I had like 11 subjects to study for. I barely ever followed them, because I used to like time block it out properly, but then by the end of it I just ended up doing, okay, I'll just do like geography today, or if I was like, you know what, I'm not feeling this, let's do a bit of maths. Like, that kind of thing can work too if you've got a lot on. But do it. You don't have to follow it. You can for a bit and then drop out of doing it, but I feel like you'll always find yourself going back to it at the same time. Another thing as well, as I talked about, is self-care. Like, make sure you are taking the time for yourself, away from work as well. I don't just mean, especially if you work from home, it can be so difficult, because even if you work, like, people might not have an office, you might work in your kitchen or something, or even your bedroom, and it can be so hard to kind of like disconnect from it. Make sure you do. So, I mean, get out the house as well, especially if you work from home, get out of that routine. Like, I like to, I always say, but I've done it once, which is really annoying, but like maybe on a Friday morning, if you've got no meetings then, go to a coffee shop for a couple of hours and get some work done, change your scenery up, but then again, after work, because you can do both, like, that's the beauty of remote working, you can really work from anywhere. Even if your workplace is like, you should be working at home, you can go work from your boyfriend's house or your friend's house, or there are other ways you can do it. Go to a coffee shop, or I have done this, I was waiting for my boyfriend to come out of the gym though, but work in your car, or like, I don't know, like, just literally change it up, even if it doesn't work, because I always need a monitor for things I'm doing, like another screen. So if I go out anywhere, it can be more difficult sometimes, but when you're like, okay, I've just got this little thing to do, I'll go do that elsewhere. Stuff like this, maybe don't work in your car, but I've done it a few times and it does kind of work, I don't know, but just change it up. Or if you do have flexible hours, change it up as well. Like, maybe think, oh, I'm up, I'll just work 8 till 4 today, or I'll work a bit later tomorrow, or that kind of thing. And if you can get time back, like I can, kind of thing, if I'm like, oh, I worked a bit late tonight, I'm just gonna log on a bit later today. I'm not going to do that all the time. Like, obviously some days I am going to need to work later just to get work done, and I can't take the time back because I'm working, like, I need to get it done. So I don't care about that, because I know, like, it's not always just going to be a 9-to-5 job, and that's fine by me because I love working. If you don't like your job, that is another thing. But with remote working, like, make sure you're getting away. Even if you're like, yeah, but I go for my morning walk and then I go to the gym in the afternoon, like I always do that, that's still the same routine, and that can also lead to burnout as well, doing the same thing. So I don't know, like, phone your friend and be like, do you want to go for lunch on Wednesday? Do that kind of thing where it's quite spontaneous as well. Or, if you live with your partner or your parents or your family, say, oh, do you want to come for a walk with me? Or should we just go to the shops and get something for dinner? Or should we get takeout tonight? Like, do something different. I'm not saying that every day, but especially during this period, like, make sure you are making some not changes, but just adding something into your day each day that's a bit different. Whether you make your coffee a different way, like, I don't know, stuff like this can definitely help. just avoiding that burnout a little bit more and just making sure you're looking after you. But then after work, make sure you are disconnecting, like doing something different, making sure you're taking a step back from it and not reaching for your phone to check that your work's been approved or your project has been said, yes, okay, we can do this in the new year or anything like that. Like, step away from it, because otherwise you're just going to turn your whole life into work when it shouldn't be. We should be able to do other things. Moving on a little bit now. I mean, I'm going to do a much bigger episode about this in a couple weeks during that limbo week, as I call it. But as we kind of gear up for the end of the year, I want you to kind of, and this is me almost wrapping up the episode, but I want you to think about whether you journal or not. You can just think about it, or you can write it down, or if you're in therapy, you can speak about it in your next therapy session, whatever works for you, or don't do it at all. I don't really care. It's up to you, but I do encourage you to think about what you want, not for January, not for 2025, but what you want out of these last couple of weeks of the year. With work, with uni, with school, whatever, it can feel like, oh, it's just like, it's not a new year. And as I'm getting older, I'm feeling that too. Like, what's so special about a new year? Because work carries on. You know, I don't have like 3 weeks off over Christmas. It's not that kind of break. It's I have a few days off. I mean, I've not booked any time off over Christmas, so I don't really have that either. And it's not really, you know what I mean? It's not like, I just have weekends and I have a few days off over Christmas and New Year's. Like, that's it. It's not really, oh my God, it's January. Okay, new year, new me. It's not that feeling anymore. But if you want to, implement that still and think, okay, January 1st, we are not talking about New Year's resolutions, but from there you can, I mean, it kind of is, but you can start doing other things. But ignoring that for now, and I want to do an episode about who you want your 2025 person to be with vision boards, etc. But for now, think about what you want over these next, we've got 3 weeks left, I think. What day is it? The 7th. Yeah, around 3 weeks left of the year. What do you want out of it? Like, you know, I don't know, it's kind of a hard question, but what do you want to gain out of this? Whether that's reach a new goal at the gym. I mean, I know a lot of us aren't really going to the gym at the moment. I mean, I am not, because one, I don't have time because I'm busy, and two, I've been ill and I've been doing other things and Christmas parties and seeing people and socializing, which is so draining as well, which I do want to talk about a bit more of maybe in the next episode now. But what do you want to gain over these next 2 weeks? It can be a goal, or it can just be something that will help you get somewhere else, or it can just be as simple as, I want to slow down. I want to spend time with my family. I want to make sure I see all my friends before the new year. I don't know, it could be that kind of thing where you're just kind of wrapping things up. If you're like me and you kind of think, okay, like New Year's Eve isn't a big thing anymore. For the parties it is, but again, getting older, it's not. It's just a new year. You pop a bottle of champagne, that's it. It's not really a huge party anymore either. It's just the same. You know, you don't feel different in the new year either. I mean, unless your birthday's on a new year, but I don't know. I do know one person who's born on New Year's Eve, which is pretty cool. But anyway, if it's that kind of feeling where it's, you don't really get excited for the new year, or, you know, there's not a lot you want to change, and you don't do New Year's resolutions because, you know, not we shouldn't, but I really don't believe in them. I mean, I do for a lot of people. They can be really helpful, but in the long term, you know, the biggest quitter month in the gym is actually January, which is mad. And maybe I can pull up some statistics when I get to the end of Jan and actually tell you, but it is a well-known thing. Like, people go to the gym for like 2 weeks and then it's too cold to go. There's loads of rain, or, you know, you're just sad because it's January and there's no holidays coming up again, and, you know, payday is a long way off, that kind of thing. And you just don't want to go, and you lose the motivation. You're like, oh, I did 2 weeks, I'll do it again next year, that kind of thing. And with the kind of fitness resolutions as well, you don't have to do it like that. You can just carry on. I remember being in the gym during that kind of limbo week last year, and there was no one in the gym literally that whole week. I went most days, I'm pretty sure, and there was no one there. I went because of that though, because I knew it would be quiet. But I'm like, on one hand, I get it because it is limbo week and you want to have the time to rest. I'm the same. Like, this year I will not be doing that. It's just last year I was kind of going through a relapse a little bit, but if you want to go to the gym more, go during that week, because it is dead, because everyone's waiting for the 1st of January, which one, I don't get as well, because it's a bank holiday and most people are very hungover from New Year's Eve, whether you drink or not. Like, most people, or like whether you don't drink a lot, New Year's Eve is that one kind of thing most people do drink, if you do have the odd drink kind of thing. So why would you start on the 1st? And then you get to the 2nd, you're like, I'm back to work now, so I don't really have time to go to the gym. And it's all these things where it doesn't make sense. So have the rest during that week. But if you do want to start early, like, why do you have to start on the 1st? Why do you have to wait till Monday, or the 1st of the month, or the 1st of the year? You don't have to start then. So maybe if you do New Year's resolutions, or you're just thinking who you want to be in 2025, think of a few ways you can start implementing that now, so that it's not a big change. Like if, you're like me and you kind of need to quit vaping, or you want to start taking your greens, or you want to start going to the gym more, or going for your walks, or having a morning routine before work kind of thing. Why can't you do that now? I know we're tired, I know we don't want to think about those things, but can we implement a little thing that will help us get to that resolution, or get to that life change or wellness change that you want to do? Don't dive into it on the first, because it's not going to stick. And I've just told you that it doesn't work. So why can't we just do a little bit of that now? I don't mean start going to the gym at 5 a.m. now. I'm not encouraging that at all. I'm just saying, can you implement things that will help you get there? Like start getting up a few minutes earlier, than half an hour earlier, do a little walk in the morning instead. Like what can help you get to those goals? I'm not talking about weight goals or fitness goals. I'm just saying that was just one example. Like if you want to start doing your skincare every day, maybe you always forget to do it, or you're too tired to do it, or it's just not in your mind that day. Can you write like a post-it note on your mirror? Like I put that with floss, because I went to the dentist last week. They're like, you need to floss, and obviously they always say that, but I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. So I've got a post-it note on my mirror to remind me to floss, and even if I don't do it, like I skip a few nights or something, it's still a reminder there, it's still in my mind to do it. So can you do that now? Or write it down somewhere, like I will do this from January, and then you can start kind of like, your brain is quite good at that. If it sees, okay, I want to do this, or if you do a vision board, you will start doing it now. So maybe think about that. Maybe think about how you're going to get to the goals you want to get to from the 1st of January if you do that. If not, do it anyway, like if you are thinking of making some changes in life, maybe that's even looking for a new job, I don't know, or moving house. Like you can look now, you don't have to wait till the new year. It can be quite scary. Like there's a few things that I've been putting off until the new year, but for all good reason. There's a lot going on with a lot of things in my life right now, and it's not really in my mind. So I think it's fine to put things off. It definitely is. I'm not saying, it's a bad thing. Procrastination is something we all do, and for good reason. Sometimes we just don't want to do a task. As long as you get it done eventually, I think it's fine. Just be kind to yourself as well. And during these next 2 weeks, please make sure you make time for yourself. It can be horrible with, also if you're someone with a bit, not even just social anxiety, but if you're someone who gets really burnt out from socialising, especially if it's like a new workplace with Christmas parties and that kind of thing, kind of put a pause on it and dial it back. If you need to, say no to certain events that aren't going to make you feel all that good afterwards, but still try and see your family and your friends. But if there's some things you're like, you know what, I just can't do that. If you've got like 3 nights in a row of doing things, just say no. You don't have to do it. Make sure you're looking after yourself. Put yourself first. If you're at work, it can be horrible, but get the work done, because you will feel better when it comes to Christmas. You don't want to be working on Christmas Day. You don't want to do the odd thing that you forgot on New Year's Eve. Like, you do want to have that time off. Even if you don't have the time off, you still want to take it easy. So make sure you're doing it, and make sure you're getting enough sleep and all the essentials. And yeah, I am going to go to bed now, because it is getting a bit later now, and I need my beauty sleep. But also news, I've got my hair done, and I finally got like proper curtain bangs. My hair's so thin, but I finally got them done, like cut a lot shorter, and I love it. So I'm excited to go to work tomorrow just to show people my new hair, because I've not done it yet, which is a huge thing. And also a little last thing I'll put it on to kind of lighten the mood. If you're in the UK, and I know it's happened a bit in Europe as well, but the storm that's going on, I don't know how you say it, Dareth, I don't know how you say the storm name, I don't get it, don't know why they name it after people, it's really weird. But if you are in the UK and you've been kind of struggling with it, this storm this time around, I mean, I know there was one a week or so ago as well, but in the lane I live, there was a tree down to the left of my house and then to the right of my house, and we couldn't really get anywhere. Like, I mean big trees, I don't mean ones you can probably just go like pick up and move out of the way, like a big branch. Proper, like a 200-year-old tree came down, and they're so loud as well. So I'm hoping I can still get to work in the morning. It should be fine. But it was meant to finish yesterday morning, the storm, and it's still going on now, and it's Sunday evening, and I don't understand. But the motorway should be fine. There's no trees near the motorway, so I'll be fine. But it was kind of a bit of a scare yesterday morning when me and my sister were a little bit hungover, and it was like 8:30, and we thought we need to go get the car from the pub because we've got our hair appointment quite early on a Saturday morning. We started walking, we were like, we're not going to be able to drive through here. It's like, how are we going to go? So luckily my dad had a bigger car and he could like just get around one tree because we kind of moved a bit of it. But yeah, please be careful out there as well because it is still going to be windy and rainy over the next few days. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode and it gave you some ideas on how to kind of hit the slow down mark over the next couple of weeks to make sure you are resting. Other than that, I'll speak to you soon, and good night.